Hello and welcome to JSB Talks Digital. And today I have more than JSB in the room. I've actually surrounded myself by some of my favourite digital divas in the business of digital marketing. And today we're going to discuss how digital has transformed our careers, and in some cases it might have transformed our lives. The theme is we're all in jobs that didn't exist 10 years ago. Because guess what? Social media is only around for the past 10 years. So first of all, I'm going to introduce you to my crew. We have two ladies zooming in from Galway and from the UK. And we have another four ladies here at Super Pixel Labs in studio with me. So let's start with the ladies who are remote. And Vikki, hello Friday.
Hello, happy Friday. How are you?
Good, how are you? So Vikki, tell us a little about yourself and your business and how digital has transformed your career, because your career up to now was in sales.
Yeah, it was. So I've kind of always been in sales and marketing, but digital. I've had my own agency now for 5.5 years. So that's Untwisted Media, and it has changed my life because I'm able to work remotely from anywhere in the world. And it's just brought amazing people into my life, like incredible people. I'm able to work with people that are not only in the UK, but I work with clients all around the world now. So it's just completely changed. It's amazing.
And do you think 10 years ago, if you had have set up your business without the opportunity that digital presents, that you actually would be trading on a global stage?
No, absolutely not. No, not without digital. It's changed everything. Live stream has changed a lot for me. So it's opened up a lot of opportunities that just weren't here before. So yeah, it's incredible.
Jill Holtz, hello from Galway to Galway. You're very welcome to JSB Talks Digital.
Hi, Joanne. Hi, everyone.
Now, I think Jill is somewhat of an early adopter when it comes to digital. Tell us about your business.
Yeah, so I run two websites. The first one is My Kids Time, which is actually just turning 10 years.
Wow.
Basically an information website for parents. And it's really changed over the 10 years. It's amazing when I look back at the journey. And then more recently, about a year ago, we started a business website called digitalforsales.com. And again, like Vikki said, it's been amazing to see how we can reach our target audience with digital and social.
So let's come back into the room. And I'm going to start with my good friend, Theresa Rock. She rocks. Imagine having a name like Rock. I'd love it. So Theresa, tell us about your business and your jump into the online world.
Okay, so I would have started online in the form of a blog about 7-8 years ago now. And the reason I started was because I found that it was a really powerful way of sharing a message where you could reach, I guess, a larger amount of people. And the point of it all was to help people who were going through challenges in their lives. Generally, where they were struggling maybe with emotional stuff, and I was helping them to, I guess, feel that they were okay in themselves and help them to find a way forward. And where that's gone now, particularly over the last 2 years, is it's gone more so down the road of emotional and spiritual. So it's helping people to connect with who they really are, because as I'm sure you see online, so many people they're struggling to find their way or to get more likes or to get more followings, and it can become all about the external. It becomes all about what you can gain from other people, or I guess how much you can grow your audience bigger or grow your tribe, which is a common way people describe it. So I find the more you can get people to connect with their soul, I guess, and to find who they really are, to find that first, and then to bring that out to others instead of trying to find it elsewhere and feed it that way. The more you can get them to connect with who they really are and bring that through, the more they'll feel happy in themselves, they'll feel a sense of peace, a sense of belonging in themselves, and they can help out more in the world.
Now, isn't this kind of remarkable, Theresa's approach, because the internet and especially social media has been accused of being meaningless, and we're all chasing the vanity numbers, but you're actually trying to bring meaning into it and remind us who we really are, so that when we step into the online world, we bring the real us.
That's it. I guess the way I would explain it is, if you look at something like anger can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you use it. You can use anger to help yourself to express the truth, to stand up for something you believe in, or you can use it to really hurt someone and damage someone. It's the same as social media. You can use it for good, and you can use it to send your message out there, or you can use it to, I guess, waste hours of time, scrolling on stuff, or maybe using it in a negative way. It's completely up to yourself as to whether you use it for good or for bad.
So I know that you have written a book, not yet published, and you've brought all of this knowledge and experience into the hard copy, if you like.
Yes.
But I guess digital and social is going to amplify your book and reach out to more people.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, the lovely thing with social media is you get to build that before you do a book. Before, you had to have a book and present that, whereas now you can do it in the smallest ways. And it's the whole idea that you don't have to be really big, or you don't have to have loads of money behind you to do it. You can do it in really small ways in the message that you're putting out there. And the most important thing for me, I think, is that what you're doing is coming from the right place. It's not for the approval of others, it's not for recognition, it's because you know it's the right thing.
Jenny Brennan, well, I mean, you've been online in so many different guises, and I guess you're always a couple of steps ahead of the posse. Tell us a little bit, the viewers and the listeners, when it goes in the podcast, about your road to now.
Well, my road to now in terms of digital started in 2011. We had moved as a family from Dublin, and I left my corporate background to basically move into a country house and just give up my career and spend some time working on me. I'd worked all of my 20s like most of us, bought the house, had the first child, and found myself in that kind of rat race in Dublin of, dropping the baby to crash at 6 in the morning, picking him up at 6 in the evening. And we just felt like we had no quality in our lives. So from 2007 to 2011, I put on the wellies and got a dog and had the second baby and just spent time on myself. So it was a really fantastic opportunity to be able to do that, and that my husband was in a position to be able to help us. And then in 2011, I guess, my little brain started to get, I was bored and I was frustrated, and I had a little bit of postnatal depression, and I knew I had to do something. I knew I had to take some action and kind of change things, and we needed the extra income, I won't lie, like we had 2 kids and so on. So I started searching online, and it's really funny when I think back. I had one of those little Vodafone dongles, and I used to have to put it in a sandwich bag and stick it out the fly window in the kitchen. It was the only place I could get a connection, and the little wheel would be going around and around while I was waiting for pages to load. And the first thing I ever did was I googled, how do I make money working from home? Because I didn't want to give up what I had now created from 2007 to 2011. And I became a virtual assistant, basically. Started to provide the service to anyone who would take me, first time business. I would take on any client that came my way. Learned a lot along the way, and in 2013 I was very fortunate to meet Emmerich Erno on Twitter. And I was at that stage I'd really got into, wow, this social media thing is cool. You can connect with people all over the world. You can really amplify your brand. You can create your own opportunity. You can create your own world around you. And I was doing this all from a kitchen in Cong in County Mayo. So it was just really, really fantastic. And then I think what happened was, so I was ranting on Twitter one night about Facebook reach and so on. And literally Emmerich was obviously online at the same time, and he tweeted and said, hey, I could do with a VA like you. You seem to know what you're talking about. And our friendship and working relationship grew from there. So I've been a part of the Agora Pulse team since 2012, and last year, as they've grown in success and they're continuing to grow, they're doing really well in the social media tool space. They're really they're up there with Hootsuite and Sprout Social, and we're always being benchmarked against those big brands. So it's really exciting. But the long story short is they approached me and said, we're growing, it's all or nothing, we want you in. And so I decided to go all in with the Agora Pulse last year, and it's the best decision I've made. So still working from home, still working remote, and again able to connect with people all over the world thanks to this technology that we have. And back in my original comfortable land of sales, I really, really love sales. I love people. I love helping people. So,
but you've also diversified into the online space in terms of building your own community. Turning 40 was a big milestone for you. It is for a lot of people, and that milestone is coming down the tracks like a big train to me. And you took more action again. It seems to be a Jenny trait, taking action. And you, I guess, retrospectively documented your journey from 39 to 40 and built a community. So tell us about Foxy Fitness.
Yeah, so, well, it's a passion project, I suppose. Again, it kind of fits in very nicely with my whole, need and desire to help other people. And I've always had this dream that, someday I'll help millions of Jennies all over the world. And I don't mean that to sound kind of, about me. I mean helping women who are in their 30s and 40s who, like me, got lost in corporate, got lost in the kind of trundle of life of, always chasing the salary, always chasing the hustle, always chasing the things that, they're important, don't get me wrong, but it was trying to find this balance. And while I was working so hard, I was neglecting myself. I was neglecting my own self-care. I was overeating, I wasn't exercising, I wasn't sleeping, I was working all the hours that God sent me. I was using wine at night time to kind of chill and relax. And I'm really open about that. It became a really bad habit. And there are still times where you slip back into those habits, I'm not perfect by any means. And I think I was talking to yourself last year and I said, this is my...
Was I complaining about turning 40? Probably.
And it was like, this is the last year of my 30s and, how do I want to now go into the next decade? Do I want to go in feeling, this kind of internal anxiety going on inside me, not feeling good enough, not feeling confident, not feeling strong? And having taken on the role at Agora Pulse, I knew I have to be strong. I have to, if I'm going to grow in that role and do really well and perform and do my job. So long story short, I started to document the Foxy for 40 journey and my road to losing 2 stone. And then talking about, it's not just about losing the weight. It's about actually caring about yourself enough to make you a priority before you turn on the digital laptop in the morning. So even Anne-Marie stayed with me last night, and she was like, I heard her car going at 10 to 7. Absolutely no excuses. I get in my car every morning before I turn on any emails, and I go to the gym, and it's my time, and I'm trying to help other women to do the same thing.
Fantastic. Now, Anne-Marie, we met through the world of digital, and actually I have to say that we all met, I met all of you through the world of digital and social. So when people say, you cannot make friends online, we've not only made friends, but we've made business connections, and we've traded, and we've introduced our clients and our network to each other. And that's what I love about, women in business, but digital women in business. And we have no fear. We are collaborative as opposed to looking at each other as competition. So Anne-Marie, you are a gomarketing.ie, but you're also other things, and you're a smart marketer, because I love watching.
I'm glad I came down.
Anne-Marie came the whole way from Dublin for this conversation on the train yesterday, but it's okay, we're going to buy her lunch and make it all worthwhile. So thank you so much for coming to Dublin, and tell us about your journey and how you've become a digital diva online.
Well, I suppose it started when you're in school and you're looking for a job title, or you're looking what course I'm going to do, and I'm scrolling through and doing the matches. And then I said, I don't know what I want to do. So I went to Australia straight after school. And while I was over there, I was still looking at what I'm going to do. So I signed up to digital media design in Limerick. Because I knew I'm arty, I loved art and crafts. So I was like, I want to go into something that matched that. So I did that. And while I was doing it, like everyone else, I went into sales. So I started off in a fitness environment. So I was selling gym memberships. And in order to sell gym memberships, you need leads. So creating leads was a struggle for most people in the business, but for me, I was like, okay, what are we going to do? Well, I design a poster, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and at the beginning I'd have my boss looking over me going, Anne-Marie, turn off Facebook. And I'm like, but I'm liking everybody in Navan, I'm liking everybody in the area. So you'd add friends, because it wasn't business pages back then, so I decided to go, okay, search for people in the area and add them all as friends. So then we had this database of people we could communicate with online. So it started off there, and as I was bringing in leads, you'd have loads of members coming in and out that were business owners, and we just sort of had the banter, and they were just like, do you want to help me with your business? or my business? And I said, sure. So it started off like that, and then I got the confidence to go, okay, I'm actually doing something here. People are creating a brand and getting awareness. So it started off from there, and while I was with a business that I had on board, there was a guy that came in and he was trying to sell a product, and I was saying, Mick, who's this? And it was a startup business called Flock at the time. And I remember leaving the meeting and the guy messaged me and goes, come work for me. So I ended up started in a startup environment, and I loved it. It was really, really good. So it started from there, and it just went on. Like, I have no problem coming up with ideas. It's just, trying to give it to everyone else as well. So yeah.
Talk to me about that word confidence. It takes a lot of confidence to be your own boss, and I think even myself, and still sometimes now, I still wait for somebody to give me permission to take on a project. What is it with confidence?
I suppose we're looking at everyone else for approval is where confidence comes from, but you just got to believe what you're doing is right, and you can't rely on anyone else.
I have to ask Theresa, Mrs. Rock, this question about confidence. What is it with us when we're all in business? Business is like a curve that goes like that, and that's what you sign up for, and we all realise it. But why is it that the confidence keeps knocking us back or keeps challenging us?
So what I have come to see with people is that, and I got into it myself actually when I started this. I got into the whole thing of, wanting to build my confidence and build my self-esteem and build my self-belief. And I found the more I was doing it, the less confident I was actually. Because it was all about wanting to prove to others that I was good enough, or that I could do this, or that I could achieve this, or that I could help people. And when I pulled away from that instead, and I know I mentioned at the start, and I went back instead to, if we all have a soul and we all have a heart, you're born good enough. You're actually fine just as you are. And then it comes to the point where you think, well, it doesn't actually matter what someone thinks, whether it's good or bad. If I get approval or praise, or if I get criticism, if I don't attach myself to either one, which is tempting to attach yourself to the recognition, to the praise, but when you don't attach yourself to either and decide, yeah, it's nice, but it isn't part of who I am, then when you get the criticism, it's, okay, it's not nice, but it's not part of who I am. And then you no longer really, it doesn't even matter, confidence doesn't come into it anymore then. You just know you're doing the right thing, you're a good person, and after that, what others think, good or bad of you, it becomes irrelevant. It becomes irrelevant as to how well someone else is doing, good or bad, so you stop needing to compete and you stop needing to compare yourself, because what it'll always come down to is yourself. So that's the approach I've taken on it, and then there's no longer that need to build your confidence or to build your self-worth, because as you are, you're fine, and when you take that approach, you no longer need to keep trying to build it.
Such sound advice. And you see, when we are online, and there's so many of us online in the same space, and you fall into that trap of looking at what your peers are doing and wondering where you're falling short. So I think we need to stop that crap. Yeah, that's a lot of, we don't need to.
Everybody's different, like that's the thing. All of us are in the same space, but everyone is completely different in the way they deliver their tweets and everything like that. So it's not competition, it's collaboration. I think we need to do more of.
Loretta, she's the TV star in the room. You come from a TV background, yeah, and traditional media. So when did you decide to jump the fence?
It happened really organically. I just have to backtrack there. I absolutely loved that point that Theresa just made about being yourself, and I think that's maybe where that whole thing about building your confidence up, that sometimes if you're true to yourself, you will find your true path. And I suppose that's how I ended up where I am today. I came from broadcasting, TV director, presenter, and I was out doing a farmers market series. It was back in 2010. I was looking for all my leads on emailing, making phone calls. I had to go to a farmers market every week, and I had to find an Irish language speaker because it was for TG Canet. So I was going through the traditional ways you would work as a journalist, and then I just found Twitter, and I hopped upon it myself, started tweeting, bored Bia. Ella McSweeney hopped on saying, try this farmer, and he's got Irish, or he's so-and-so's cousin.
So she was willing to share her network with you,
yes.
Which is kind of unusual in the world of journalism, because your black book is like your collateral.
Yeah, and I just found how instant it happened. So all of a sudden, 50% of all the people I interviewed that summer I got from Twitter. So it was like Ella McSweeney came on, and then someone else said check out Board Bia, and someone else said check out this, that, and I just found it amazing. And then I started meeting people like these amazing women around me today. I met a girl called Galvia Kelly she went over to Revlon, and she was head of digital there, and now she's gone on to a foodie company. But I met her, and we were both in the same space where no one was listening to us, no one believed us. And one day I was sitting in the canteen in TG Carr, and I just basically said, why don't you take a section of your marketing budget and put it towards online? And 2 months later, out of the blue, they called me up and said, you know that conversation in the canteen? Will you come in and have a chat with us? And next thing, I was sitting in front of 10 people. I had never done a slideshow presentation. I just had me, and I just had to speak.
Fantastic.
And I ended up getting a 3-day a week job with them, and then now I have a digital marketing agency 6 years later.
Isn't that amazing? So it kind of comes from that belief and that courage to actually do it. You kind of think, yeah, I know it. And I know my husband says to me, he goes, you're not normal. Well, I know that, right? Okay, let me finish the sentence before I get into trouble, or he gets into trouble. In that you think that everybody knows what you know. And I think we all think that everybody knows what we know, but it's not the case. There are so many businesses, organisations and individuals whose digital knowledge is probably still back in 2010, only because they haven't had to use it. There hasn't been a need. Now with the whole transformation of the smartphone, mobile first mindset, the democratisation of the internet and free Wi-Fi, it's become a norm. And I guess as early adopters and taking on and self-teaching ourselves and taking on those clients whom we also learn from, we're now in the position to say, yeah, we run digital businesses and we're proud of it. I have some other questions that I want to put to you, just kind of some fun ones. Vikki did a 10-minute Facebook Live, and Vicki's very good at going live. I mean, I still get the nerves going live, and I have to go live later, but anyway. And you spoke about vulnerability and being vulnerable online. And I know when I was preparing for my TEDx talk about 2 years ago, I watched Brené Brown's TED talk on showing vulnerability. And you got some really good feedback. But the question I want to pose to you is vulnerability on social media, good or bad, or where do you stand on it?
I think it's a good thing. So we, as people that run digital businesses, part of what we do is about helping people to become more confident with social media, because we're not just putting out a tweet anymore, or we're not just putting out a post. We're encouraging people to go live and share videos of themselves. So I think the fact of if we can be vulnerable and open up and share these vulnerabilities, it helps other people to feel like they can open up too. So it helps other people. I think, if everything was just a highlight reel, that's not real. And I think, being able to share something that is both ways, I think that's the best thing to do. And I'm not saying we sit here and we blub on social media every day, but I am saying it's good to have that balance and allow people to know that they're okay to just share them, because that's what this is all about, being who you are.
And do you apply that rationale then to business people, or are you just talking about people, and if you're a business person or if you're not a business person, same rules apply?
Absolutely, same rules apply, because I'm Vikki, the business owner, I'm Vikki me, and everybody is who they are, and the business is part of you. And I think people do business with real people. Everything's not perfect all the time, and I think we want to get to know people better. We live in a time now where we have got so much content overload. It is everywhere, and that human connection really does establish us as it establishes the relationships that we create. So I think vulnerability is a really good thing from a business point of view.
Jill, what's your favourite social network and why?
Hands down Instagram. I just love Instagram. I think it's the combination of the visual, which is very appealing. It's like the old photo albums, you used to physically flick through, and now you can go online and flick through all these lovely photos. But also there's really nice community. It's quite different from Facebook, which I run a big community on for my kids' time. So when I go on Instagram, I don't know, I just love the network I have on there, and it's just really fun.
Okay, Jenny, over to you. How do you cope with digital overwhelm? Because we pick up our phones 150 times a day. And if you don't deal with it, that's also an answer. But hey, you can say you go to the gym.
Like the biggest culprit in the world for picking this up all the time. I get in trouble everywhere I go when I'm at home. You know, if we go out for dinner, it's recently I've tried to be a lot more mindful about it, because when you're in company, like when we're all in company together, I wouldn't bat an eyelid of all of us, you know, being on Snapchat, being on Instagram and whatever, because that's what we do and that's how we interact, and we're great multitaskers and we're able to do it all. But you know, when you're out having a family meal and you're like, oh, I'm just taking a picture of everyone now, and you're like, don't be putting me on Facebook, and why are you on that thing all the time, and blah. And this is what I hear, you know. But it is about stepping back and actually being respectful for yourself as well, because it's very easy to get lost in a Facebook news feed or, you know, on an Instagram or somewhere else, and actually forget that, like, beside you are your kids who, you know, you really could be spending more time. I'm making this very much about me more than anybody else, through my own experience. You know, recently I've noticed it, as you know, our eldest boy has started boarding school and he's not there Monday to Friday, and it's like there's this big gap, and all of a sudden I'm realising the times that, you know, I was on the phone and I should have been a little bit more present, and I'm trying to get a little bit more mindful about it. But it's just, I think it's just become part of the human behaviour. I know Theresa's great for like switching off. I'm like, are you ever on Facebook? Nah, I took it off my phone. I'm like, what? You took it off your phone? You know, and I did that in the summer for a couple of weeks, and I have to say it did kind of reduce that a feeling of being connected all the time. You know, sometimes it's good actually not to be connected.
Okay, Theresa, you better share your wisdom with the rest of the world.
So, practical, because I may as well be practical about it. What I do is, in the evening, or kids come home at 2:30, I go to the point in the wall and I actually switch off the internet, so that there's no option to go on it. And then, like, if they actually want to watch something or I want to do something, I'll physically go and put it back on again, and it stays off until I'm starting my work again in the morning. And actually, it's not on a whole lot when I think of it then, because usually what I do is when I start writing in the morning, if it's not off, I'll turn it off, because if it's on, I just start. It's the temptation of, I just have a quick look. Yeah. And then 10 minutes are gone and you think, where did that time go? So when I'm writing, I don't allow myself, and it might sound overly strict, but it works, I don't allow myself to go on it. And what happens is then I lose the constant desire, like, to go check it. I find that really works from a practical point of view, because you're talking about being connected there all the time. But if you're always connected to this, it takes from your connection here. So the more you can cut that cord and come back to connecting with yourself, the craving and the addiction tends to wear off a little bit. And I noticed when I put Facebook back on my phone again, and it's been on for a few days, I'm more agitated and anxious in myself than what I am when I don't have it. And even though I want it for the first while when I take it off, once I leave it for a couple of days, I don't want it anymore. So turn off the switch in the wall.
Well, we've actually had this discussion in work recently in Agora Pulse, because we're a really big remote team. We're all over the world, you know, and obviously working in different roles within the company as well. So what we've actually started to talk about is, you know, blocking off time in the day for your deep work, switching off all your apps, turning off the phone, and actually just diving in. So
and as Amy Porterfield calls it, and I love it, it's Tyler time. You have absolutely no distractions. She does 8 until 12 every day. She gets most of her work done. Ladies, the clock has beaten us. Thank you so much for joining me on JSB Talks Digital. We will continue these conversations, of course, on social media, but for now, it's a wrap. Thank you.